Welcome in the latest episode of the What I Bet podcast on the Straight Out of Vegas AM podcast feed, part of the pregame.com podcast network. I'm your host, real_G Warner, across all social media platforms. Tonight's episode, we're going to save you some money at pregame.com. Before that, we're going to go through the entire long, lengthy Stanley Cup playoffs card on Thursday, May 21st, and a long lasting Major League Baseball card on Thursday, May 21st. Actually, there's not a ton of games this card, but that gives us more time to specialize or focus in. And we're going to do that. Find a best bet called What I Bet End of Show. Give you a promo code to save you some money at pregame.com. And hopefully get your Memorial Day weekend started off, I guess, long weekend, if you will, on both sides, maybe. Sure, a lot of you are taking vacation. Wish I was in that camp, but, we'll make the best of it. And we'll start in the National Hockey League. So we saw a pretty front to back performance from the Vegas Golden Knights tonight in Colorado. 1-1 seed that's been off for a while. Had a really rough start, though you could argue a lot because of injuries and missing their, I think, biggest star player in their defenseman, Cale Makar. Not to touch too much on that matchup, but moving now to Montreal and Carolina, it feels like a very similar situation, except for the fact that Carolina's had 11 days off between games, I think 12 at puck drop. But that's a really good situation where I don't know of any injuries. They played the minimum amount of games in the Stanley Cup playoffs so far, while Montreal has played two game sevens and surely are the more weary team heading into this round. But it is Eastern Conference Finals. If you could ever get up for a game, it's probably to find your way into the Stanley Cup Finals. Game one, though, we've seen some slow performances from teams, especially Montreal in that opener against Buffalo in game one, but they didn't really show up. And that's a big question, concern. And I think that's playing a little bit into the price here, where the Carolina Hurricanes currently minus 194 to win game one, plus 170 coming back on Montreal. It's changed exactly one penny since I've been watching it, from plus 171 down to 170. So you could argue there's a lot of Montreal money coming in, but I doubt it. And I expect if you're playing Montreal, you can probably wait to play this one as it climbs up until puck drop. We saw that with Vegas and Colorado, though ultimately that number fell, I think, a lot because Cale Makar was ruled out of game one. Mark Stone also ruled out, but I guess he's been missing for a while. So that was kind of the bet, I guess, or the stance you were taking. If you wanted to grab Vegas early, you were, I guess, hoping for Mark Stone in, Cale Makar out. If you're waiting for them to come in late, you were expecting both of them to be out. And then I guess there was a fair amount of money coming in Vegas up until puck drops. So that does, I guess, speak a little bit about to the importance of Cale Makar. Now, Carolina, a little bit different situation. Don't think they have any real injuries that are of note, at least not on the Cale Makar level, while Montreal has been playing and grueling through 7 games. And honestly, I think should have been out in 5. Excuse me, should have advanced in 5. Better way to put that, against Buffalo. But a goal off of a sideboard bounce off of the goaltender into the goal to tie a game, give some sort of life to a power play that had been horrible throughout the regular season and into the playoffs for Buffalo. End up winning that game, winning another game from 3-1 down in game 6 on the road to Montreal. All surprising things. And what that's really done is taken more gas out of the Montreal Canadiens tank. In Carolina, not as close of a trip for the Canadiens fans to get there as opposed to Buffalo, or a lot of Montreal red sweaters in that Buffalo arena. You can't really tell since Carolina's also red, but there's generally a lot of open seats there. I think we still will see a lot of Canadiens fans, especially for how far they've gone in this playoffs and how really fun it's been to follow the team. Total in this one is 6, juiced very heavily to under right now, minus 115 of the 16 cents of juice currently at Bet Online. If you're looking for a referral, hit me up at the real_G Warner across any social media platform. With all that said, Montreal are gonna probably play the same way they did in Game 7. We've seen it a lot of, especially with 2 Game 7 wins on the road under their belts. They're gonna try to do everything they can to take a lead and then sit on the game as much as possible. That really is a soccer strategy and is not really a great one. It did almost burn them as they had to go to overtime to end up advancing against Buffalo in a game they had a 2-0 lead, or 2-0 lead is probably the hockey way to put it. But I like that strategy for unders. I don't think Montreal has a great offense, and I think that's the biggest question is how they're going to score. Carolina is going to dominate the puck. They're going to shoot a million times. They're not going to be high quality shots, but they're going to basically rack up expected goals as high as possible just from shooting as much as they can, maybe getting some rebounds, certainly testing Dobes, though I do think that Dobie will have a lot of confidence built up from making easy saves, and that's something that you really want to be scared of I'm worried a little bit about him getting frustrated, getting a lot of pucks on net, getting a lot of ice showers or snow showers from the opposing team, potentially lashing out and taking it in sportsmanlike or some sort of roughing penalty, slashing, something like that. It's certainly one of the things he does. Maybe that's a prop we should take, Dobes taking a penalty, because that's certainly happened in a lot of games so far in this playoffs. But to me, I don't think Carolina's as strong as this number suggests. Yes, they deserve to be a favorite, but nearly $2 in the Stanley Cup playoffs where home ice advantage doesn't mean that much, and especially with a home crowd that has certainly not filled out every seat in a lot of their games, plus also has gotten a fair amount of pushback from the NHL fans throughout the land and the world and the internets, of course, but also Montreal showing up very, very well. I think we could see a similar strategy tonight. I played Vegas plus 150 and under six plus 110, hoping for a split, which would have paid out both ways until a late empty netter. And honestly, I was getting pretty nervous with the Vegas Golden Knights conceding, going to overtime, and then losing there and losing both bets. So I'll take a 1-0-1, though under 6.5 would have been a really nice hit for both sides. Instead, I took under six at plus 110. Might do that differently in the future, though I'm generally a save some juice, play the plus money things, especially when it almost worked out really, really well on both sides. But, hindsight's 2020. It'd be a lot easier to make money if you're staring at tomorrow's paper today. Now we'll move to the Major League Baseball card, and then we'll get you a pregame.com promo code. Can't combine two words to start with PR, I guess, and in the same sentence. We'll start with the Cleveland Guardians, Joey Cantillo on the road at the Detroit Tigers, Casey Mize. And I'm a little bit surprised to see the Guardians an underdog here, though I did make them one. Just after watching them close as a favorite, both on Wednesday and on Tuesday against a Detroit team that's been really snake bitten by injuries, not playing well. Their signings have been horrible. I mean, the Guardians were basically the broadcast was basically laughing at them on Monday night, especially when Framber Valdez went in the tank. We did have subscribers, followers, did have the Guardians in that opener on Monday, 8-2 win without a sweat after falling behind initially, I think 1-0, and then scoring, I think, well, clearly 8 of the next 9 runs, but it might have been 8 in a row. And the Guardians broadcast was literally threw a stat up there of how much had been spent on the Detroit Tigers. I guess offseason additions. You could argue Jack Flaherty re-signing is a little bit different, but he's been bad. Framber Valdez certainly not delivered on big contracts yet, and then showing that up against the Guardian staff and how little they pay their pitchers. So that's all going well for Cleveland. Clearly, their bullpen is better. I think Detroit is used to having a really great bullpen. It's not been that way so far this season. Kevin McGonigal has been awesome. Dylan Dingler has been great too for the Tigers. But beyond that, I guess Riley Green has been great. Shane Green's a pitcher. Sorry. Riley Green's been great. There's 3 players out of 9 that have been playing well. Pitcher's been bad, bullpen's been bad, and the defense has been horrible. So Detroit looks really, really scary to me as a favorite here. So definitely lean to Cleveland plus 107 currently. Casey Mize has been really good and has been missing bats as number 1 pick in the past, but couldn't strike anybody out forever. He's added a splitter. I think been better with the slider this year, but we'll see how Mize continues. And honestly, as a favorite at home, I'll lean to Cleveland. Probably under 7.5 makes sense. So very juiced at the moment, even under 7. First half, split that full game and under. First half, I think makes the most sense for me and probably will make my card on Thursday. We'll next go to the Pittsburgh Pirates and Braxton Ashcraft visiting the St. Louis Cardinals and Dustin May. Currently Ashcraft a minus 123 favorite on the road, plus 112 coming back on Dustin May. Total is 8, juiced very heavily, minus 122 right now, plus 102 coming on the over. So Ashcraft has been incredible. Really, really great. Was not as sharp in his last start against the Philadelphia Phillies. His bullpen didn't help him with an inherited runnage scoring, and the bullpen exploded after that as well. I think we're seeing Pittsburgh. Yes, they spent a lot of money in their lineup, but they're starting to look like one of those teams that didn't spend enough on their bullpen. That's the most important part of Major League Baseball games, in my humble opinion. And you certainly have read that for all my picks on Griffin Warner on pregame.com as well, and through every podcast I've done Major League Baseball for the last 6 years now with pregame. But Dustin May is the Red Rocket. Hopefully he doesn't eat any salad tonight and rip his esophagus, but he's been really good. That happened. He's been really good, I think, versus expectations, because I think the Major League Baseball basically kind of gave up on him. But he's been on a lot of teams lately, still has great stuff. I think he'll maybe someday show out to be the pitcher that he was as a prospect, and really was a victim of the Dodgers just having so many options. But I think we see a low scoring game here. Under 8 makes sense. Like first half and game when I play unders, just to split them in case we can potentially minimize the variance of going to extra innings as well and other variances as well. Also lean to home underdog. St. Louis is rocking a little bit in their bullpen. They've been much better on the road, which won't continue, and they're rebuilding and are expected to win 70 games this year. So, great start for them. We'll see if the kids can keep it going. I think they'll run into a wall eventually, and maybe that happens on getaway day on Thursday in a low-scoring game in St. Louis. We'll next go to the New York Mets and David Peterson on the road at Washington Nationals and Cade Cavalli starting at 3:05 Central, 4:05 Eastern time, odd for getaway day. But Peterson, a minus 111 favorite on the road. Totals 8.5, just more to the under. So Cavalli is a big prospect, highly drafted. A lot of expectations for him, but the Nats are not trying to win this year. Their offense has been great. I'll pay to see CJ Abrams and James Wood, though they're on a couple fantasy teams of mine, but I'll pay to see them continuing this hot streak this season, especially against lefties, and David Peterson should be able to eat them up, I think. Makes sense the Mets are favored on the road. Makes sense David Peterson on the left-handed southpaw being favored as well. They spent a ton of money on their team. They're certainly pushing up a lot of their prospects as well, which is certainly going to add to some variance to the roster. But the bullpen's better. Been waiting to see if the Mets move to underdog, but I doubt that'll happen. We'll move next to Atlanta Braves. Spencer Strider visiting Miami and Sandy Alcantara. Currently, Strider a minus 138 favorite, which seems ridiculous to me, but he's forever beloved by the Major League Baseball market. Has not been so great returning from, I don't know, Tommy John surgery 2 seasons ago. Got a late start to this year. I don't know if I believe that he's the same pitcher when he's not throwing 99 with a drop dead slider, basically. And Sandy Alcantara's been awesome. It took him a while to stabilize after Tommy John returning last season, but he's been good. Miami's been hitting the ball surprisingly well. I don't know that I trust that continuing, and the Miami bullpen is limited. But Alcantara eats outs. It's very possible it goes from Alcantara to Pete Fairbanks, and the Miami bullpen was gassed on Wednesday, which was not great for the underplay of the What I Bet Best Bet on Wednesday, May 20th episode. But it should be more rested, and honestly, Alcantara can get the ball all the way to Fairbanks, finish the game himself. Atlanta's looking great. Acuña's back, but they, of course, add Acuña and subtract Baldwin. So I like Miami's setup here. Plus 125 at home looks very interesting to me. Last but not least, the late game, we have Luis Severino and the Athletics visiting the Angels and José Soriano. Minus 105 each way on this price tells you the market doesn't know who to pick. Making Oakland favored, or excuse me, dock me $1 for that one. Making the artist formerly known as Oakland, but just now the Athletics with no designation, which seems pretty offensive to Sacramento since they play there. But favored in the opener, we're no hitting the Angels into the last inning and then gave up a hit and then a home run and lost 2-1. Sounds like Athletics betting if you've ever done it before. But Severino's been really good away from Sacramento, that minor league park, and the Angels. Whew, their hitting is rough. It was really hot to start the year. A lot of home runs in Yankee Stadium, but maybe that's the only park where it'll occur. It's not been going very well. Mike Trout's been slumping. Their defense was really bad on Monday night as well, really putting Wander Ureña, excuse me, something Ureña into really tough situations. A lot against Nick Kurtz as well. I'm waiting to see because Soriano's been awesome this year. I think probably smartest lean is under 8 in this matchup. Um, but I think from a side perspective, I mean, I guess I lean to the Angels until the Athletics are an underdog. It's really hard to be against Soriano, so maybe under 8 is the biggest interest for me in that matchup. We'll now move to the Save You Money at pregame.com portion of this podcast. It's a very light slate. We have a big soccer weekend coming up. So, for those of you that have been subscribing every day to my soccer picks, I thank you for that. And also get ready for the World Cup coming. We're going to do a lot of podcasts on content on that sort of stuff. Trying to figure out how to put on the What I Bet Best Bet episode, but maybe we'll mix that in with Stanley Cup and Major League Baseball. Or if you have some ideas on how you want to work that in, or you want to pick up my own YouTube channel, go ahead. But at the real underscores you want to hit me up, and your suggestions are always accepted, especially at pregame.com. We take your feedback seriously. And just for that, use the promo code ERA20 Echo Richard Alpha 20 Echo Romeo Alpha 20. Good for 20% off anything at the pregame.com website. Good for through May 31st. You have 10 more days to use it. 20% is, I think, the biggest discount I've given in my years of doing this podcast or podcast on this network. There was one time we did 25%, but that was like a once in a lifetime offer. 20% the max you can get. You get me rest of the month, rest of Major League Baseball season, 90 days, soccer specifically, whatever is out there. Of course, plenty of other great handicappers at pregame.com as well. Jump on, get in there, and now it's time for the What I Bet Best Bet. So, What I Bet, a loser on Wednesday with Miami under 7.5, unfortunately, but them's the breaks. As for the best bet on this episode, let's go to the hockey side of things, and we will go under 6 in the Montreal Carolina game one to feel each other out, see a low scoring game, and hopefully avoid an empty net goal coming end of game. Sleepy, here's the I guess what I bet best bet portion for the video. Three, two, one. Hey, this is real underscore G Warner. This is the What I Bet Best Bet portion of the What I Bet episode of Straight Out of Vegas AM pregame.com's podcast feed. I'm your host, real underscore G Warner. We were a loser last night with Miami under 7.5, but we're moving on to the NHL on Thursday night. We're going to go with the Montreal Canadiens under 6 goals in game one at Carolina. I think we see a potential no-show for Montreal after another game seven victory. That's two of them so far in the playoffs. Though Carolina hasn't played in 11, 12 days. So that does matter. I think we see some rest versus rust discussion. I think we see a rusty Carolina team. They're going to shoot the puck a lot, but that doesn't mean they're getting big chances. I think Montreal will do everything they can to give Dobes as much of a sight line as he can to block some shots. I think we see a frustrated Carolina team that's going to keep it coming, going to see a big shots discrepancy, but I don't think we see a lot of goals. So go Carolina hosting Montreal under 6 goals for the ultimate best bet, the What I Bet best bet. On this episode of the What I Bet podcast, you can find us on Straight Out of Vegas AM feed every day, wherever you find your podcast. And we'll see you soon on the What I Bet episode.